All right, folks. I'm Don Ford. This is Race for Impact from Organizing for Better Tomorrow. If you're listening to this, it's because a very nice person sent it to you, and you should send it to a very nice person after that and thank them for sending it to you in the first place. Because that's how this thing goes. You hear something, you like it, you send it to somebody else, maybe give us a little retweet, maybe I don't know, like the Twitter account. Kind of crazy thoughts. Getting out of high. Oh wait, I gotta say wild thoughts. Wild thoughts. But the important factor is here. We are here on Mondays and Thursdays. The whole Organizing for Better Tomorrow team talking about all the things going on from a kind of COVID perspective. I feel like COVID conscious perspective is. I think there's a lot of that. People talk about like progressivism, more of a progressive group, but now that includes COVID consciousness to at least a certain degree, depending on how far we can convince you to protect yourself. That being said, we do have some new COVID data. We do a lot of work with like long COVID and vaccines, and we used to just be focused on explaining mechanisms for COVID back in the day. And a big theory that I had always shared out here on this show that I wrote about in my 2022 long COVID article was just basically confirmed, and we got a little bit further with that information. So that's pretty handy, and it's looking at how we handle specifically microclots, which has been a big a question mark, I feel like, in the whole what's going on there. Like, I feel like we hadn't quite figured out what was happening. They didn't respond to normal treatments, all that sort of stuff. But speaking of not responding to normal treatments, California governor's race. Do I get to be... Should I have never said I was wrong? Were we just early? Because I remember, like, we were talking about the California governor's race. We got... Steyer, right? Steyer, probably say his name. Steyer. So I like pause just to say the first syllable to make sure I get it right. Steyer, who I should be able to say his name by now, is the billionaire in the race. He just got endorsed by Our Revolution because, weirdly enough, he is the billionaire is the more progressive candidate.
I missed that. I didn't realize he got
Yeah. Oh, we talked about it at the beginning of pre-call. Yeah, he got endorsed by Our Revolution, and then who was the actress activist in California? Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda endorsed her. Jane Fonda's amazing. She endorsed too, and that's because So what happened was Stilwell is. You want to say he's a terrible pig and a human being, but he's pretty much the average politician, like male politician, to be completely honest. But he got caught doing really awful things. Another woman came out saying that he drugged her, and they had, sex she didn't want. A lot of those sort of stories going on. Really bad stuff. And so he's out, thank goodness. And he actually, so bad, he resigned from his seat in Congress. We actually got a Republican and a Democrat out at the same time, so it's sort of a hit even for a moment. So I guess and the story with the Republican is horrifying, by the way, if you don't know it. He had an affair. No, the affair is confirmed, right? I don't know why I'm going back to this, because it's taking so long to talk about it. She lit herself on fire. So we had talked on the show that we hope it's a suicide, not a murder. Never hope for suicide. That's a horrible thing to say.
This is Tony Gonzalez, not Swalwell.
Yeah, this is Tony Gonzalez, the Republican. That story is horrible. That guy should have been out of office a long time ago, and I hope there is a good investigation to make sure that thing. When I talked about that last time, I didn't really explain to what level of leave it to the Republicans to leave an extra level of depravity to it all. But what Swalwell did is awful. He left the race, thank goodness. So that broke down. Now you got three candidates. You have Steyer, which, see, now I can do it now. See, I did it, guys. You have Katie Porter. Oh, my God, look at this. I'm really onto something. Nice. Yes, it's got them both. Kept forgetting Katie's name on the last show. It kind of became a bit of a running joke. And then Xavier Becerra. And I had said that Becerra was the one to beat originally, and his polling turned out to only be like 3%. He was doing terrible. Then Swalwell jumps out, and all the people who supported the rapey candidate jump behind Becerra, and now they're trying to give the false impression that he's the candidate that everyone is rallying behind. So they're trying to give this thing. He's still, even with all the neoliberal people, he's still only polling at 13%. Like, even the best polling shows him tied with Steyer. So, and Porter, here's the thing about Katie Porter. Like, I've said this about Katie Porter before, and other people have said this too. If it was 2017, I would be like, let's do it. But after her whole, like, and I'm a person who says, like, primaries have been cheated. I'm a person who talks about the 2016 campaign and primaries actually being cheated to the point that election systems were overhauled nationwide because primaries are not protected by federal election laws. So a primary is handled by the party, and they can be handled illegitimately. It's very important that if you're in party politics, that you stay involved with how those elections occur because the laws protecting them are different. But Katie Porter was an election denier for her Senate race, and she was like, the election was rigged, and it's not. It doesn't happen like that in general elections. Not since Karl Rove has been out of it. Because Karl Rove would always rig Ohio or something, which now they don't need to rig Ohio, it's just red. So I don't know, that's a whole thing. So it's like there's a big difference between talking about rigging in a primary versus rigging in results in a general election because you don't like the results. And she also has a habit of she keeps getting caught yelling at her staff. If I ran for office, videos would come out of me raising my voice. That's why I don't run for office. Let's not kid ourselves. I have been known to raise my voice. Not at my employees, well. Anyways, so don't tell anyone,
moving
guys.
Right along.
Yeah, moving along. Anyways, the point is that brings us to I am not running for governor. But
you're not?
No, it's not. It's true. I don't know, but
jungle primary, you could get in.
I know. I could. I should just go for it. There was a time when I had just done the California Bernie stuff that people were wanted me to run for Senate or something like that, and then there was a lot of infighting over whether or not I would be the candidate or this other guy wanted to be the candidate. And I heard people say this, and I joked about it, but I didn't really have the intention, because when I looked into it, it's like a $2-3 million race, and theoretically I could raise that money. But I was AOC is they say she's a bartender, but she's super freaking qualified for someone in her early 20s to run for Congress. Super, super qualified. She worked in one of the Kennedy's offices, one of the good Kennedy's offices. She has a ton of experience. She has the right degree. She just happened to be a bartender because there's a statement about the job market. I don't know any of that stuff. I've gone on to do cool things, but at that time, there's no way. So I was like, no, man, have it. And it was all this fighting, and he absolutely got destroyed. What was his name? Hildebrand? His name was Hildebrand? Yeah, it was 2018 maybe. And I was too busy doing all these other elections, and I was like, no, I could throw away all my time in one election I'm going to lose, or I could help a bunch of other elections win. And that was the year the squad got elected. So back before people were so resistant to the squad being a good thing, it made it much harder to elect people. Anyways, this is off subject, but the point is that they endorsed Steyer. They introduced Steyer. That always gets them talking. Just say something wrong. And so that's all the progressives are going to start rallying around. The actual progressives are going to start rallying around him, and hopefully that gives him the bump up to be the candidate, because it's going to be a Republican, and we need somebody who can beat the second Republican. And that
did come out for Medicare for all.
Yeah, he said a lot of things, right? But with the billionaire class, you never really know how much is he going to go all the way as a class trader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hard to say. I wish you would. I'd love to. That's what we really need right now.
The establishment candidate.
Yeah.
So I don't feel good about him.
No, that's the problem with Becerra, is he doesn't really stand for if the system works good for you right now, and you don't think there's any need for improvement at all, then you go with Becerra.
And I hold a grudge for the HHS. Him as HHS secretary.
Yeah, the COVID stuff. Yeah,
for Biden. Yeah,
he was really, really bad on COVID when he was HHS director. He's just HHS, right? That's what he just said. So
yeah,
I remember him just coming out and he's very much a toe the corporate line Democrat. Which, I mean, if that's what you want, I can see why you vote for him.
He was one of those people early on that purposely made a scene out of masklessly getting his vaccine.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys remember that.
I do remember that.
And it kind of looked like he was almost trying to make a muscle while he was getting his shot, which was also kind of weird.
Yeah, we could probably look that up if we really wanted to. I think I very much remember that. I'm just not a fan. And You know, the billionaire is the billionaire. But, I mean, we're also having that billionaire problem with Pritzker, too. Because Pritzker is a billionaire saying all the right things right now. Where's he, Illinois?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's saying all the right things, and he's definitely going to be a major... Like, these billionaires are going to be major parts of the the next primary, the 2028 or whatever.
I mean, FDR turned out to be a class traitor.
I heard that before, and I mean... FDR also had a lot of public pressure. Like, I think the thing that we don't talk about FDR is he...
Yeah, absolutely true.
Because he was really good at coordinating that public pressure as a threat against other people to get their vote. Like, he was really good at, like, okay, but you got to make me do it. And so what did they ended up having to put the fence up at the White House. I think that's right around the same period or right after that. Because before, you used to be able to just walk into the White House. There was no security. There was security, but, like, people could just walk into the White House. And they were, like, so it made it a little bit easier to apply force.
Yeah, but the New Deal, the New Deal came out of that, and all of our, all the good things that really probably brought up the middle class in the country were kind of born out of his policies.
Yeah. There was a second Bill of Rights that they were trying to get associated with it too. That is a lot of stuff that we still need right now. That like translates into like.
Yeah, if only he had lived, it would have been. Yeah.
The man served 3 terms. Wasn't he in a wheelchair the whole time too? I mean,
isn't that why we had
he had polio? Yeah.
Put in for president.
Oh, so what is he, an anti-vaxxer also? I'm kidding.
No, like he was that popular that he kept getting elected.
Yeah,
they put in the. Yeah, they put in the law for 2 terms because of him.
My mother said when he died, she felt like the world was going to come to an end because he's the only president she'd ever known.
Oh, wow. Because wasn't there a break in his terms, though? Like, I feel like there was 12 consecutive years?
You're thinking of, I think you're thinking of Taft. No, it was consecutive.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was consecutive.
I'm not, I've never put myself out as a huge history buff, but I love history, so I do know some things. Just dates and names get tricky. That's why we have so many people here to tell me when I say Steyer wrong. I'm laughing. I don't know if you're laughing with me, but I'm laughing. So the governor's race is a mess. Basically, just to sum it up, we were in a position where we had two Republicans at the top of the ticket, with the vote broken up between Democrats too much for anyone to get above them. So you could end up with 2 Republicans getting into the jungle primary or getting through it, and they'll be you only get a Republican. And this is how the Republicans, I think they were planning on like getting it to be Swalwell and then hit him with all this stuff and then win the race which I think even Swalwell still would. I don't want to talk about it. It could have been so bad. But the point is that
it was a good plan.
It is a good plan. So I'm saying, yeah, exactly. It was a great plan. That's why they're all so mad about it. And the thing is, like, all of the right wingers were out complaining that the plan didn't work at once, which makes you think not only can these people are they super organized, they keep their mouths shut about what they're doing until it's time for whatever to happen. So it's sort of anyway. So the point is that now we're in the position because all those people rotated to the lowest candidate. We're in the same problem. It's the same problem. It's just divided between 3 candidates instead of 4 candidates. And we did have someone drop out, right? Someone dropped out. And now it was Villaraigosa is the next who needs to drop out. And then I think the final say on this is going to be Katie Porter is going to be the kingmaker on this race. So a long way to go. It took me 15 minutes to say our first one of the show. I think Katie Porter is the kingmaker on this. I don't love Katie Porter. I think she's an all right person. I think that if she was the candidate, I would vote for her. But I don't think that. I think she's also an easy target for drama from Republicans, and I think that you kind of in that same sort of thing. Like I said, I wish 2017 was here now. I'd be all about it. So it feels weird. It feels weird to be yeah, we should go with finally Tom found something. And the one thing I like about Tom, and I'll say this, and I really mean it, is that I think he really cares about what Bernie Sanders thinks about him. And I feel like that's... I think that's probably the most important thing in this race between these candidates.
It's kind of cute, really. It's like he's got a man crush.
He does.
Man crush on him.
Yeah. Do you remember the inauguration of Biden when he was like trying to sit next to him or something like that? I can't remember what it was. It was very funny. But I also think he's the least likely to get involved with Palantir and these other groups. And I don't know if you guys saw the manifesto Palantir published. We did a group read-through during staff call. I don't think I want to do a read-through.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
It's horrifying. It's like really, really horrifying. It's like it's just like basically like the people who try to help people are going to be disappointed. And then like they had a whole they have 24 of them, right? And like number 16 was just dedicated to looking Elon Musk boot.
Yeah, I think there's 20-some points that they laid out, but I think that's just sort of bullet points of their bigger, probably much more horrifying.
Yeah, it's a top-selling book. It's a book that's like a #1 bestseller, which honestly, #1 bestsellers is very like in books, like just like everything else. You buy your own books. Sorry about the coughing. When you like these #1 bestsellers have the budget to buy their own books from distributors. So you
do
just
that all the time to put themselves on the bestseller list.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Very few people get like word of mouth on a book right now. To be a #1 bestseller, you go to the distributors, you buy a bunch of shell company, you make a bunch of shell companies, and then the shell companies buy a shit ton of your books. And then that's why those guys who are it's a #1 bestseller. Here, have one.
Thiel's money, with Thiel's money, he could easily do that and wouldn't even bat an eye. Yeah.
Right, and it makes it look like the idea is super popular, but it's just capitalism buying itself. So it's like there's a lot of that. Like there's a lot. Like we're talking like the last time books were like popular on their own were like when Harry Potter was getting published. You know, which is a good example because they're remaking that right now
and this is much scarier than Harry Potter.
Well, you know, we're learning here. I want to go on a little bit of a rant here for a second about this because we're learning how truly racist she was in her characters. Like, the only black guy in the book that's canonically black is named Shacklebolt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His last name is Shacklebolt.
You'll be surprised. This is another thing I didn't see.
I didn't even know there was a black character in Harry Potter.
Yeah. He's part of the like advanced with spoilers. He's part of like the advanced wizard team, and he wears like a very like Middle Eastern African sort of region clothes, like purple. He's pretty boss in the movie, but how he's written is like it's same thing with the Irish guy is like blows things up all the time, which is from an English perspective is an NRA reference. And so there's
we like to blow shit up.
Well, I'm not saying it's not categorically might be correct. I'm just saying that it's still the only character of that type is demonstrated.
Very stereotyped. A lot of her stuff.
Yeah. So, and also here's the thing: as an American, when you read it, and I read the first 4, I think, back in the day. By the 5th one, I was like, this is too convoluted. But it was. Please don't at me. Okay, Harry Potter. My wife's a huge Harry Potter fan, and we just, even with the. We'll talk about that another time. Point is that. Point is that a lot of the things that they seem to be like so magical, like the ministry of this and the thing of that, it's just how they do it in the UK. It's just the UK version of, committee or whatever. It's the exact same. It's words that like it seems so creative and original. It's just me being naive about British culture. It's like that's not magic, Don. That's just the UK.
It's easy to razzle-dazzle us Americans.
Yeah, well, I was young, to be fair. I mean, we didn't have the internet yet. But, the pre-internet time... Gather round, children. Let me tell you about the time before the internets, where we just had to ask that one friend who knew a lot of things, and we just assumed they knew the answer. Did we look things up in books? Ha, 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 ha. No. No.
But J.K. Rowling showed the signs of the person that she eventually became in sort of some of the writing.
Yeah, I mean, which is interesting in the Palantir thing. They're like, they shouldn't have to suppress what we mean to say so much. Where they're like, oh my god, I keep going back to that. thinking about just like it's like everything. Like basically, you could take that, reverse engineer every point, and that's how the world should be.
Yeah.
Like reverse every point, and you know, like I specifically say, this is something I say on this show, that you do the work to help people you're never going to meet. That's something I say. You do it knowing you're going to help people. They're never going to know you helped them, and then when you tell them that you helped them, they usually get mad at you. So it's not like it works out in your benefit. So they do kind of make a point. Where is this Palantir thing? Where do we share?
Yeah, like it's like everything they were saying. It was like, you know, woke anything woke is terrible. You know, sort of worship public figures, and then give us money for our.
And let us all do it all in the shadows. That was the one. Let us do it all in the shadows.
Women shouldn't vote. Democracy is antithetical to progress. Yeah, it's great.
No pluralism. Pluralism sucks.
Where was it? The
You
psychology.
have to consider where he's from. He grew up in apartheid South Africa. His father was a Nazi. He was raised as a Nazi, and that's kind of what he is.
Wait, are we talking about Elon, or are we talking about the Palantir guy? Because are they both raised by
I'm
Nazis?
talking about Teal. No,
Teal.
They have a lot of similarities.
Right.
They're both from South Africa.
Well, the guy who wrote this is the Palantir president.
Alex Cart.
Yeah. The guy with the wild.
He might actually also be another South African. We'd have to look that up.
But he goes, look that up real fast. So I don't read this. It goes, the psychologization of, there's no C in there, I don't know why, I just can't get this out, of modern politics is leading us astray. Those who look to the political arena to nourish their soul and sense of self, who rely too heavily on their internal life finding expression in people they may never meet, will be left disappointed. First off, who writes like this? Like, what are we doing? He writes it like we're reading a book about the One Ring and the formation of the evil we're all fighting. Like, do they know that the bad guys are the ones who talk like this?
It was like, AI, make it more mystical.
Let's see, what did he say? He goes, we should applaud those who attempt to build where the market has failed to act. The culture almost snickers at Musk's interest in grand narrative, as if billionaires ought to simply stay on their lane of enriching themselves. First off, what the fuck? What the fuck? Just billionaires ought to stay in their lane of enriching. Is that what you think we want billionaires to do?
I want them to give us their money.
Any curiosity or genuine interest in the value of what he has created is essentially dismissed, or perhaps lurks from beneath a thinly veiled scorn. Like,
sympathy for billionaires. I'm so sorry that we don't appreciate their wonderful contribution.
Well, what's so funny about this is they make this point about we must applaud those who attempt to build where the market has failed to act, which is like, I don't even know what he's saying with Musk here, because Musk let like Russia use like Starlink and all these other things for a while. But the point before it, they go, post-war neutering of Germany and Japan must be undone. The defanging of Germany was an overcorrection for which Europe is now paying a heavy price. So, like, demilitarizing the Nazis was a mistake. And then he goes, a similar and highly theatrical commitment to Japanese pacifism. So it's a theatrical commitment to Japanese pacifism. So they're just faking it. They don't mean this. It's not really real. Well, if maintained, also threaten to shift the balance of power in Asia. And you're just like, why would them not doing anything change any balance of power? Wouldn't it be the groups changing things, altering the balance of power? Like, the logic here is, I don't like calling things psychotic if I can avoid it. Like, I feel like it can get like offensive to people, but this is like publicly traded companies like talking about stuff in a way that bonkers, yeah, bonkers, which is actually becoming more and more popular. In all fairness, I've been seeing that pop up places. Yeah, bonkers is my solution. Because saying crazy, I feel like you're just like, I just feel like even if it is like, oh, you're just trying to put like soft walls on everything. Yeah, but we could. But bonkers is totally safe. You know what's one that I heard that is safe that you can use totally fine that I'm surprised about is Nimrod.
Nimrod's acceptable?
Nimrod, the etymology of Nimrod is Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny or one of them was fighting with the guy who hunts them. Can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Not Yosemite Sam, the other one. Who's, is this too pop culture for you too right now, Jesse? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No,
But I think you do Bugs Bunny, right?
I didn't think of it.
And he goes to him, he goes, good job, because he's having a hard time hunting him, and he goes, good job, Nimrod. And everyone interpreted Nimrod as, like, idiot or dummy.
Right.
But Nimrod was referencing the Bible, who Nimrod is a famous hunter.
Oh.
And so he's being sarcastic, comparing him to a famous hunter facetiously.
Ah, I get it. Okay.
So people misinterpreted that, and it changed the etymology of Nimrod as a word, because it now means a dumb person, or like
Right.
whatever.
I'm glad to find out that a Nimrod isn't a thing that is horribly offensive now.
Yeah, because you get into the etymology of some of these words, and you're like, wow, that's horrible. We definitely shouldn't say that or keep that alive in any way. So it's worth doing. At least if you're not gonna like go along and you feel like, oh, I can't say stupid, pick a couple of them. Just pick a couple of them and come up with a more creative word for that. Because I find that, like, first off, we all sound like Trump right now because he's like calling people dumb and saying stupid things, just making it just sound like, just hearing him say it, just like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's how you sound when you say it. But yes, it is, and so it just the more creativity in your language, I feel it just works your brain a little bit more, and you're just like safer. Everyone's more happy with your statements. Even you can enjoy a joke, because you're also losing people who you don't see. So it's worth it to just have these little bit of changes in your language and all that sort of stuff. So we've barely made it anywhere on the show because it's just such a mess. But I do want to say one thing that I found very interesting is there was a poll. This is going back to the California governor's race because my notes are completely out of order for pre-call. But yes,
Oh, real fast.
notes.
Alex Karp. He's not from South Africa. He was from New York, and he met
And
Peter.
he's Jewish.
Yeah, he met Peter Thiel at Stanford.
Law school, which they both hated.
Yeah.
I just looked him up too.
Well, I'm sure law school hated them too. I do want to go back to thank you for correcting that, by the way. I do want to go back to there was a poll that came out about whether or not people, and these polling is always a little bit. This polling is always a little bit touchy. You're not sure what it really means, but it was the first time I see this. Do you identify more with the progressive movement or more with like the established Democratic Party? We have the actual language for that. Actually, it's right here. Someone posted it in too many chats, guys. We need to just get them all into like one chat. It's like staff chat and then the other chat and then the thing. Okay, more of a supporter of progressive causes than the progressive movement, or more of a supporter of the Democratic Party, and it's 55 to 45. So I think that, like, saying that right now more people identify with the progressive movement and progressive causes than they do with the Democratic Party. And this is like all an extension of the 2000s. It's like when people say the 2016 movement and Bernie and all these people didn't do anything. I just think they don't really, it's just because they're against the things that have happened. Like, they don't want things to get better or people to want better things, or like, because I think the biggest problem you have with this progressive stuff was like, apparently we have one of the Supreme Court justices saying we're communists for wanting progressive things, and it doesn't align with the what do you say? It doesn't align with the Constitution? That would
Who said that?
The Supreme Court justice,
Clarence Thomas?
Yes, I was going to say the one who got in trouble for maybe raping a woman. That was what I was going to go with.
And he takes all kinds of money from his rich friends.
Yeah, and his wife is a January 6th and election denier.
So what did he say about?
He said that progressivism is directly against the Constitution and how we're ruining the country.
Yeah,
or something.
he gave a speech. Yeah, he did. It's against the Constitution, and it's associated with Stalinism, communism, Marxism, all kinds of very bad things.
Yeah.
None of that was ever discussed.
Yeah, I missed that meeting. I don't know what he's talking about. I feel like this is not a person we should have in charge of our laws, because obviously he's a little confused about how things work. But anyways, right now, 55% of people poll in this particular poll between the 30th and April 13th, they identified more, 55%, with the progressive movement. So I feel like people always talk about young people and taking over the party, and you're like, the passing of time will inevitably mean that young people who are more progressive will take over the party. We could just do it faster with more people agree it should happen sooner. And I feel like this has been the one outcome of Trump and ICE and all this drama that I feel like the protests and the responses and the effectiveness of it, because Trump is getting a lot of his stuff shut down. I mean, we obviously can't stop everything because he is the president for now. But we can't stop everything, but we can stop what we can stop.
Yeah.
All the infringing on rights.
Would-be Democratic voters are far to the left than what the party acts like they are.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
For
Right.
a while.
So I feel like we're seeing more of that change. Also, AIPAC has become such, like, so many candidates are lying about taking AIPAC money, even now or in the past. And the line is, which I think is foreign influence. Like, it's objectively good to be against foreign influence in our elections. If it's Israel or it's Russia or it's Cuba or it's whatever it is bad. In any format, like, you know what I mean? I do feel like we need to do more humanitarian work for Cuba, and I didn't mean to pose Cuba compared to Russia. It's what popped into my mind. It doesn't, to be clear.
Have you been watching anything that's going on in Michigan?
Israel or Russia? Hang on, I'm getting feedback from myself. What's the which?
Have you been watching Michigan? The Senate race?
Oh, yeah. I saw the parade. They did the Harris parade for the candidate who's lying about taking AIPAC money. That's running against Abdul El-Sayed, who
El-Sayed, who is amazing.
Yeah,
he's on fire.
He's been running and doing it on very little money. He's been running for a Michigan Senate seat for since the 2018 window. So he's been around in the progressive movement this whole time, and he has been super consistent. He does need more money, but he's super consistent and a really progressive candidate and super cool guy, and he's one of the few people I have drama on everyone. Nothing. The dude is clean.
Nice.
The dude is clean. Yeah.
They loved him at the Democratic convention up there in Michigan. He got more applause than anybody. They started chanting his name.
Yeah, no, he has the good. He's like the Michigan Mamdani, but not as electric of a personality, but the same sort of vibe.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they were. I don't know if you're following me on politics, but they're trying to make a candidate in San Francisco the Mamdani of the West Coast, and I'm having none of it. I'm having none of it. I'm having none of it. Absolutely not. I'm not going to say his name on the show. Absolutely not. And everyone keeps trying to say the candidate who would be in the top two above him, and how she has this problem. And I'm like, I in this particular race, I don't care if it's a literal alien being from another. I would elect the two monsters from that Simpson episode where the aliens were running in the Halloween episode. I would vote for literally anyone. And Aaron Weiner is going to take the race if somebody it's to replace Nancy Pelosi. Aaron Weiner is going to take it. It's not Aaron Weiner. It's what's his name? His name's Weiner. Aaron Weiner is the guy I went to high school with. This is Weiner. So I can't remember his first name right now. It slipped my mind.
It's not Anthony Weiner either.
No, it's not that Weiner either. Which we saw way too much of that Weiner.
It's a completely different Weiner.
Completely different. But his Senate race, his Senate district for the state overlaps exactly with CD11. They're both called CD11. So him winning is the natural progression of that district. So if you want to stop that, you have to be really smart. And that character is not the person to do it. The Warren who actually wins elections in that district, even though it's a small district, she's in District 1 supervisor position, but she actually, canvasses and works in that district, and so she's the person. And yeah, she's not a perfect candidate, but she's way more progressive than Nancy Pelosi. And she does say if aid were to go to Israel, it should be conditional on them ceasefiring and all this sort of stuff, which sounds like she would give aid to Israel, which is true, but it's conditional aid based on conditions they would never meet. So it's kind of like that soft answer to the Jewish community in the district where if they did the right stuff, I would still give them aid, and they won't do the right stuff. So it's kind of, it doesn't really matter what she's saying. Like at the end of the day, and we know right now that Weiner will do whatever, and there's no chance a Republican wins the seat. That's sort of like the interesting thing about, I feel like, with AIPAC and what we're seeing right now in the elections is that AIPAC is like screwing with things and how things are perceived, because they would rather the Republican win than the Democrat who is progressive and against anything.
Absolutely.
So
That's always been the case.
Yeah, so they'll sow confusion into the race just to take down, and they were bragging about it with where was that? Where did that just happen? Was it Illinois? With Kat, can't say her last name.
Yeah, it was Illinois. I can't pronounce her last name.
I can't pronounce her name.
But
yeah, I can't pronounce her last name. It's a lot, but at least you'd be able to see it easy on the ballot. And she did good. She did well. Like, for coming at it the way she did good. I thought she was a good candidate. A lot of people tried to dig up a lot of drama on her, which may or may not be true. But again, it's like the stuff people used to say about me when I was in like a lead position in the progressive movement. They just make up whatever, and it seems convincing. Like, I used to be on a trust fund, guys. Did you know that? Yeah, I was a trust funder. That was fun. People were like, "Oh, Don just has all this money," and I'd be like, "Nope, guarantee that's not the case." My mom had to come in and laugh at them actually on Facebook. It was pretty funny. That actually happened. Oh my god, I snorted. Oh, I forgot about that. I had actually one of those third-party trolls who would always come in and bother me show up on my stuff, and it was like 2018 all over again, and like people were watching like, wow, I'm really curious about this lore now, like because I say this stuff happened, and the new shtick from those guys just like ignore me as much as possible, don't boost anything I do, which is smart. So when this guy shows up, it probably took him about an hour before they were like, no, what are you doing? But he told on him already, so it's been an interesting couple of days in that regard. Speaking of interesting couple of days, did anyone see the Trump video where he's wiping blood on his face? The AI video?
No.
Oh, I wish I'd saved it. I saw it on TikTok, which you're like, did Trump really post it? Is it on I mean, I'm not on True Social, but I see when he posts something truly wild, and apparently it's getting him dropped from meetings. I'm not sure if this is, like, totally backed right now, but we've heard that the military started to take him as more of a liability and a risk than like the leader of the military. Which is justified. But hey, we get yeah. I just think that this 420, right? Because it's 420 2026 should also be remembered as Tariff Day, because today's the day that all the corporations who people paid tariffs to are going to get their money back.
They can apply.
Yeah, they can apply, right. They can apply.
Process starts for getting their money back.
Which, I mean, I feel like it should be more of, like, I don't know, is it on the news? I'm just not looking. Like, this is like Trump's tariff plan was deemed illegal and he has to return the money.
Yeah.
That seems like that was like his main thing. I couldn't see how he gets the SAVE Act through. I mean, that seems dead in the water.
And the story about how
it's not going to pass. It's dead in the Senate, from what I hear.
And honestly, I don't think the Supreme Court would let major changes like this go through in the same election season. Like, even this Supreme Court, because they don't traditionally they don't make major, like, even if someone like gerrymanders something illegally, they usually leave the districts alone until after the election. So, like, I couldn't see them, like, passing this law and then actually getting it enacted. Like, it goes against everything even this shitty Supreme Court does. Though I guess we'll see how their, what's it called, the birthright ruling is, because they haven't given us that yet, right? It seems like that would be everywhere when it finally happens.
I imagine it'll be before.
No, it's probably good. I think it's going to be late June, early July.
Yeah.
What a mess.
But this tariff, like, Howard Lutnick's kids are they're in it to make a lot of money off of this tariff thing being overturned.
Do you want to explain that?
It's bonkers, actually. Yeah, like they actually were buying up the debt on these tariffs, so they were going to companies and like buying.
We're basically paying the tariffs, essentially.
I don't think they're paying that. They created some kind of instrument, some kind of financial instrument to say, you know, I don't know if they're actually covering the price of the tariff, but the thing was that
I mean, if they're buying the debt, I would think they're buying the debt of the tariff so that they can make money on the thing. I don't. But honestly, the financial, they make it so overly complicated for no reason, which I hate that I said, because I'm basically quoting Epstein right now. That video came out where he's talking about how all these systems are all regulated in a way so that it makes it seem like it's overly complicated, but it's actually pretty straightforward. They just slap some names on it.
Yeah, that's everything Wall Street, though. Probably. So I don't actually understand it, but you know, the gist of it is that when they basically betted that when the tariffs, if the tariffs were overturned, that they would make like 10 times or something back on the money that was given back to
whatever the investment was. I get it. I get it.
Lot.
Well, I mean, they make gambling for anything. Like, they gamble against this, and they gamble for the system, they gamble on the debt, on the thing, on the stuff. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen Kashi or all these other. Now you can like guess on whether or not it's going to rain tomorrow or something. So,
right.
By the way, 82% of people on those sites are in the red. So don't think that this is like easy money.
But this is the sons of the Commerce Secretary who has inside information about what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. And he gave this, I believe, like he gave this company, Cantor Fitzgerald.
Mm.
That was his company that now his sons run. That now his sons set this up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I do feel like there's more and more talk, though, about, because like oil shorts were put out right when the Iran war changed the oil prices, and we're seeing a lot of insider trading from something in the White House. And I feel like it's drawn enough attention that as Trump gets weaker and weaker, looking at these things is going to be more and more of a thing. Because like right now we're down to like 4 people, right? You still got Hegseth, you got RFK Jr., who somehow, amidst being the most bonkers person on the administration next to maybe Hegseth, is somehow doing the best in his position in Trump's eyes. I don't know. I think he chilled out on the vaccine stuff and got a real CDC director, and like I feel like that's what Trump wanted. It's something that's like controllable, you know. But like, I don't know how that works.
Start a podcast.
Yeah. Oh man. Living the dream. Living the dream. He'll get way more viewers than we will too. He's just gonna crush it. It's going to be so annoying because he'll get enough people who are listening to him just to hate listen because he's going to say something ridiculous like the Comedy Hour with RFK Jr. If he wasn't in charge of our entire health department. Oh, by the way, speaking of raccoon penises, it's the bone he wanted. The bone in the raccoon penis is used as a sexual. They grind it up and use it as a sex drug in some parts of China. So we looked it up. So squirrels and raccoons have bones in their junk. So when he's like chopping off their dangling,
penis.
Yeah. So yeah, you get the real insider story here, folks.
You think that's where he was headed?
Yeah, I think that's where he is. I think he collected the raccoon penis to dry it and probably snort it or something off a toilet seat, knowing him.
I had a different theory today about it.
Oh, please share. It's sharing time. We should talk about this as long as possible.
Yeah, I heard this this interview with him, and he started talking about. Here, listen.
Oh my God, you have
I have a very restricted diet that I've been on for about 250 days, but it's a carnivore diet.
What do you think?
Why wouldn't you take the whole raccoon? I'm just saying.
Was it a snack?
I don't know, Jesse.
It was just a theory I had when I heard him say about his carnivore diet that he's on.
I definitely think we're seeing like we were talking on the show last time about how he shakes vertically instead of horizontally. And I saw some other creators talking about it too after we had talked about it. You don't want to make fun of somebody for their neurological shakes in any way, because that's, a real thing that happens. It's a common long COVID symptom. It sucks. But I feel like it's getting worse, and I feel like whatever he's doing that's like more conserved towards this, how do I say this, right-wing bonkers position of health like the more the neurological conditions for me, and I'm wondering if it's the methylene blue. Because he does a lot of the it's called methylene blue, right? The blue stuff they squirt in their drink.
He consumes quite a bit of it. Yeah.
Right, and
in alternative circles, it's supposed to be a miracle thing.
Right, and it's because it's like the new colloidal silver. Because the colloidal silver turns out if you take too much, it turns you actually blue. Which
he was saying that he had AFib, and he had visceral fat around his organs, and he went to this doctor. And the doctor basically put him on this diet and said he could fix him with this diet. And it's a carnivore and fermented diet. So like all meat and sauerkraut, kimchi, anything fermented.
So there's actually, not to be a complete naysayer, there is something to this. Because fermented foods increase your mucosal immunity. And you can, if
and
you eat
good for your gut bacteria.
Right, and if you do go into keto properly, which I don't advise anyone doing because it's really hard and tough on your body. But it is something that people have. There are a couple of like ME/CFS stories where people have gone keto and they claim it cured them, but so much of it sounds so questionable. But there is a mechanism for it because the process of going into keto is one of the many central nervous system processes that are kind of like turning it on and off again. But instead of turning it off, it operates differently. Like we were talking about the psychedelic thing, that Trump approved the psychedelics for research or whatever, and the way it basically works is like temporarily rewires your like central nervous system and how like literal nerves work for a short period, and then when the systems all restart back up, switch back over, then maybe the feedback loop that we always talk about feedback loops, another Freeze thing. We're going to get into Freeze was right about something, by the way. If you were a long-time listener, Freeze nailed something a long time ago. We just found out. But it might restart a feedback loop. It might. It's a big might. It has happened for some people, but it's a big, complicated problem, and it's by no means, in my opinion, like a clear cure. But if you have the, like, commitment and want to try it, I mean, you can try it, but it's certainly not like, I will fix you with this diet and these fermented foods. Like, fermented foods will probably do more, honestly.
And he actually said that. He's like, I'm not advising this to anybody, and everybody's body is...
Oh, great. Now I'm giving out the same advice as RFK Jr. Thanks, Jesse.
He said it fixed him in like 90 days. Like he's not had the AFib at all anymore. So meat, fermented food, and yogurt,
I would say the fermented food is doing that more than anything. And I think also, when you talk about, one of the interesting things is when we see people doing like diet, especially like long COVID, there's so much food intolerances that we just ignore. Like, I'm a food intolerance person. I'm intolerant to a bunch of like the healthy foods you're supposed to eat. And I love like some broccoli or green beans, but I cannot eat them. I get super sick for like weeks at a time. So you think those things are good for you. So there's probably people just like me. It's a certain variety of cruciferous vegetables for me specifically. But kale's fine, so go figure. Love me some kale. Wife hates it. It's such a funny gag in this house because I can't eat like all the normal green veggies, and she hates kale. So, it's not fair. Life isn't fair. She makes delicious kale though. Heads up. Anyways,
I wasn't officially knocking what he was saying, but like, I just thought with his obsession with dead animals and the fact that he's on an all meat diet, it just stood out.
Oh, right. Well, I'm just saying there is something to these things. It's just the way they're usually handled is, very specific cases. They always try to make it seem like, and it doesn't sound like he is, so I'll give him that. That's a big step for RFK Jr. because after that whole Tylenol thing, like, what a mess he left with that Tylenol thing. Oh my goodness. We talked about the titanium dioxide in the last show. Real concern, causes all the things we know we're looking for. It's, it does its environmental malformations and brain and body development and fetuses. It crosses the placenta barrier. It's in a ton of our foods in America, but not in Denmark. So it makes sense. Denmark studies show no correlative evidence, while the American studies show correlative evidence. And even while he had the author of the study explaining it to him personally, he still could not say it right. He still could not say it right. So him taking a step back and being like, oh, this is for everybody. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that impression. But I'll take that win. That's a W. I'll take it. Feels weird. It's been a long road with RFK Jr. and his clusterfuck he's created. And we still got VRPAC coming up, so I don't think that's done. Did we get a new Seaber person? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Did we get a new Seaber? I feel like we were talking about someone. Biff
Oh,
was talking about
replace
something for
Vinay?
Seaber. Yeah, to release. Yeah, exactly. To release Vinay, because that's the person who wasn't it the woman who delayed Novavax last time, or is she back on ACIP?
That's another position.
Okay, well, that's gonna
That's-
be a
Yeah, she's being moved to an advisor to RFK Jr.
right. That's terrible news because she seems like she would be a good old Biden advisor, but she's actually was one of the problematic Biden advisors. So that's problematic. Masking is not problematic, which is more problematic. Anyways,
Right, and yeah, we have not heard anything about Seaber. They closed their application process just a little over a week ago, and Prasad isn't officially out until the end of April, so I wouldn't expect them to announce it until after
so
that.
he could be there until May, theoretically.
The rumored front runner is Dr. Homan Hamadi, a board-certified ophthalmologist, biotech entrepreneur, and vocal COVID policy critic.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
So maybe RFK is not done.
Oh my God.
He's a frequent Fox News guest, and he often throws his weight behind Trump administration policies.
Good times.
Oh boy.
I don't like this. I want off the
at all.
ride. I want off the ride. Oh my God. Speaking of off the ride,
Return to the living anti-vaxxer.
well, when we're rolling through all the people that are left on Trump's team, I feel like they're all very worried about firing. We all heard the story about Kash Patel, which a lot of people are focusing on him claiming the alcoholism and the absenteeism. It's like he's suing the Atlantic for like $250 million or something silly. But he did not deny the story that every time he can't enter his password properly, he tells everyone that he just got fired. I didn't deny that, so I think that actually happened. I mean, I'm not doubting the alcoholism either, but apparently the story is that every time he has trouble logging, we've all had trouble logging into something before, right? And I assume the FBI doesn't let you auto log in, so you have to remember your 19-digit password with different cases, whatever, all sorts of stuff. I don't know how their security works. I assume it's good. Fuck, I hope it's good. Jesus Christ. At this point, actually, you know what? Shouldn't have said that. It's probably garbage.
Probably isn't good.
Probably isn't any
No,
good.
no.
I don't know. Getting way ahead of myself, leaving way too much in the system. Look at me
His
go.
password probably
Did
like
Big Balls get all the passwords or what?
Well, we know what his account name is. It's Spidey Cash.
Spidey Cash.
Or Spider Cash, yeah, Spider
So,
Cash.
yeah, his password is probably Cash123 or Cash
Yeah,
Rocks
yeah,
123.
password with a $sign. We actually did get some passwords out of the email drop when he got hacked by Iran. We got some passwords. Some people were logging into his accounts because his passwords were in there. Same thing with Epstein files. They would leave the passwords in, and just people were logging. That's how they figured all his FBI, or not his FBI, his FedEx account was still being used. But that could have been. I don't feel like it's a big conspiracy that he's alive or anything. I don't think that proves. He just like someone was still using his active account. That everything's on auto pay. I could totally see somebody doing that for as long as possible. But Kash Patel, yeah, that is a mess, and apparently he needs to practice entering his password a little better. But I mean, he's on the list because he's claiming that he has arrests coming up for the fraud in the 2020 lawsuit, and I feel like that's his story to Dementia Dawn to hold on to his job a little longer. Did you guys hear about this? He's claiming that he has people to arrest and convict on the basis that the 2020 election was rigged.
Oh,
He's saying Patel is saying that?
Yeah, Kash Patel is saying that.
I see what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's yeah, Terry. Sure you do. Sure you
Yeah.
do.
But that is something that could definitely keep Trump's interest.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a big. Okay, all right. When is that coming along? Well, these things take time, sir.
We're still working on it.
Yeah, we're still working on it. I do want to see more confirmation on if Trump was actually like. There's a story going around, which I've not seen any confirmation on, that he was like denied the nuclear codes, but it sounded like the account, like the post did really well, but the account is kind of questionable. And then there was the breaking report about but I think NBC verified that, where they were not having him into security briefings for missions because they were afraid he was just wouldn't shut the hell up about it. Like, he just won't stop talking about everything that he sees and hears. So they talk to him about whatever, and he gets on Truth Social and tells everyone the battle plans.
Yeah.
So
He is completely like unhinged and just saying all kinds of things to ruin this whole situation with any kind of deal with Iran.
yeah,
To get us out of this already.
it's totally bonkers. So the problem with it is there's this, you need more words than just bonkers, because there's so many things going on. It's kind of, even that just becomes sort of like a new neutral. Oh, they're just bonkers. So it's always bonkers. Bonkers. And you're like, they need something. We need a bigger word than that. That's also safe.
Bonkers to the 10th degree.
He's a bonkers Nimrod.
There you go.
That's apparently that's the limit. We're trying here, folks. We're trying. So we did get some Novavax data. Actually, I found this very interesting. We talked about Novavax a second ago, but we got some data from Sanofi, of all people, that which I think is really important. That they were able to confidently prove that Novavax has less reactogenicity, which means it has less AE, not no AE, but it's less. And one of the rules about the BLA is they can't compare the vaccines and say one is better unless they have very clear data proving it. There's a whole data restriction, like how it has to be proven. So like even the cross-referencing of studies that I do isn't really good enough. You really have to use the studies. Like we're putting together this piece right now to explain a lot of the benefits of Novavax to line up for the next vaccination sort of season, which we are trying to move up so it happens earlier, closer, more in line with the school year than the thing. But this year is kind of an uphill battle to try to make that happen, but we're trying. I don't think it'll happen this year, but I feel like we could definitely start getting promises to have it happen in the subsequent years, which might be like, but that's so far away. And you're like, it will get there. Some of us will, at least.
And just to add the new data that we got is against Moderna's newest vaccine.
Right.
Of course, all this, the lower reactogenicity has been proven many years ago for the legacy mRNA shots, but this is just replicating that against Moderna's newer vaccine.
Right, and I see this as them coming in with like a marketing plan, because I feel like they're revving up their marketing plan for next year, which will be to explain this is the one with fewer AE, and that's a big selling point. They just say it's just as protective with less AE. And that's their thing to like get people into it, and I mean that's cool. I feel like that's a good entry point for people to switch vaccination process, and then you can educate them on like the maximum potential of the vaccine. I feel like when you explain to people, having done this now for so long, and you explain to people, well, you can get the 3-shot series and it's like 6-7 times higher antibodies and like super more protective, and it does this thing that lasts. It beats all of these benchmarks that we have for mRNA's limitations that we just kind of like work around for some reason. So it does all this stuff, but the pitch is kind of hard because people don't want to get a bunch of vaccines. But I feel like once they have a better experience with it, then they're more apt to be like, well, what's the best way to use this product for maximum protection? And I really would love to see the WHO, like we really are kind of due, especially since vaccination rates are so low and interest in these vaccines is so problematic, and we've seen so many more improvements out of the the Novavax vaccine fights more variants, lasts longer, requires fewer updates, has less AE. It just kind of like goes on and on and on, and then it's more protective, right? It's a higher rate of protection from hospitalization and death, and has a higher rate of protection from infection. So and it has the SIGA. I mean, it really kind of just goes on and on. Like, the problem with explaining the differences is, like, where do I start? And there are just so many reasons that it's better that I feel like people are kind of overwhelmed, and they're like, this feels fake, because if there were this many reasons, it seems so obvious that it's better. Why are people saying it's not better? And you're like, money. Like, the same reason everyone does this stuff, money.
Mm-hmm.
People are always surprised. Yeah, no, money. These companies have a lot of money. and they distribute that money into these people. They don't distribute it to me. Looking at you, Novavax. You know, they don't distribute it to people to tell you like the actual information. That's not how it works. They want to distribute information that meets whatever their business projected plan is, that works into their quarterly profit plan that they promise to investors that they are legally accountable to. Obviously.
It's like
anyway.
selling any other product.
It really is. It really is. I just want to say one quick thing before we get into that. I want to explain this COVID neutrophil extracellular trap thing that we learned about that has to do with the microclots. But I do want to say one quick thing about 420 being today, and happy 420 if you celebrate, just to be a team player. But the point here is that I wonder, and I asked this of the team, no one really had an answer because no one knows, but do you think that 420, because we're getting like ads for 420 from national companies that serve in places where food is illegal. Or food is illegal, where marijuana is illegal. If you keep going with what Palantir wants, soon food will be illegal. Anyways, the point, the point is...
And you'll like it.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll like it, and we'll surveil you liking it so you don't bake it. We're watching you. So anyways, not dystopian at all. Is this happening because the actual feeling around marijuana is lessening and we're actually looking at legalization nationwide? Or is it just because we've entered in such a lawless state under Trump that no one cares anymore to pretend like they're not doing it?
Yeah.
Which one is
Hard
it?
to say.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it the lawlessness or is it the actual positive change? In this particular instance, I'm not sure. So we're going to talk about this COVID thing with specifically with the sticky microclots that have been really a problem. They've been a problem because we talk about clots, right? You got clots, you got normal clots. They're just, you know, there's lots of things you can treat that with that are very effective. But these other clots that we get with long COVID, some are very small, some can get very large. They're sometimes called fibrin clots. But there could be microclots, very, very small. And what the microclots do is they're so small, they clog up the thinnest parts of your vascular system. So these aren't like clots that are like, they do cause strokes. They can cause that. I don't want to sound like, no, they're fine, they're not strokey. There's non-stroke clots. That's not true. They do still cause stroke, but they're more like, so your brain and all these different parts of your body, but your brain is a big one because the blood-brain barrier gets damaged from COVID. So things that are not supposed to go into your brain go into your brain. And so what can happen is basically these clots stuff up the thinnest part of your vasculature, and they cause something called silent hypoxia. And silent hypoxia is super, super, super dangerous because you don't know you're having a problem because it's just like I'm saying hypoxia. Is it hypoxia? It's hypoxia? One of them. It's in there. Anyways, the silent version of it. And basically you stop getting enough blood flow to certain parts of your brain or body in general. And this can cause just a ton of issues. And because of we didn't know what they were, it's very hard to say, hey, what is going on here? And so a lot of people will attribute long COVID symptoms as, you know, microclots as like a key factor in long COVID. And that we learned is not actually really correct. And I'm going to explain it because I wrote a big thing on this and I'm going to explain this. I explained it pretty thoroughly. I'm going to explain it a little better right now. I'm going to pull up that piece really fast. Let's see, I believe it's in my... Normally I think I'd have these things all prepared before I start the show, but that's just asking too much, people. Let's see, I have it right here. Here we go. Okay. So they're called neutrophil extracellular traps, and we finally got something from this, and this actually came from Pitoris's group from South Africa, where they had raised a bunch of money for this device to be able to analyze what is microclots. And years later, they finally gave us some data, and they're basically explaining that these things are neutrophil extracellular traps, which are really like clusters of dead cell crap, like it's waste. So it's like groupings of DNA and other immune materials. They all stick together. And there is some theory that I think is interesting, where people claim these are part of your healthy immune system, because of the they like help, like they find a lot of virus in them, which makes sense because the thing. So they say, well, it mops up the virus. And that's not entirely wrong in most cases, but it requires, in order to break down these neutrophil extracellular traps called NETs, you need to have something called, I'm not sure how we pronounce it still, but I think it's pronounced DNases. So it's D, capital N, lowercase a, s, e, s. So it's you know, I have trouble pronouncing things, so bear with me. I'm good at reading. It's deoxyribonucleases. So specifically DNase 1 and 2. And these are what our body uses to break down these NETs normally. So normally we use, for normal clots, we use like blood thinners and stuff, but like arginine, nitric oxide, and a couple other things are like what we use naturally to break those clots up. And so upregulating arginine or adding nitric oxide, however you can help, because it's sort of what we use naturally to break up those types of clots. But these type of clots that are made out of NETs, we use the DNases, and COVID can also make that system go into dysregulation. Okay, so when we look at this, what we're probably seeing here is a group of people who went into dysregulation in the DNase activity area, and so now their body no longer has the ability to break down these clots normally. Normally, you can break these clots down. And there is an extra element with these, which I think there's some data, and I have a theory on this, where basically, I don't know if this is your first time we've said this, is that I think that spike-carrying virus make these worse, because and there is some evidence for that, because they make things more stick together. They make things fuse. So like the spike from COVID makes cells fuse, so if you get enough spike in there, these NETs are fusing even more together, and that's what makes them kind of like look like flesh when they get pulled. I don't know if you've seen any people get these things pulled out, but the fibrin clots look like flesh. They don't look like blood clots, because there's blood clots that are like red, goopy blood clots, and then there's white blood clots. And these white blood clots are what we're talking about with these fibrin things. So the people have these microclots that are stuffing up their vasculature, making them have all kinds of problems. Like your body feels like it's like going to sleep constantly because you're not getting enough blood flow. That's why vasodilators help these people too, because anything to open that up a little bit to let more blood flow in helps them temporarily. But this is very important to say. This is a specific subset of COVID where the DNase process is interrupted or disrupted. And so this would not be indicative of all people with long COVID. This would just explain why people who also have long COVID, some of them have microclots, others don't, because their DNase did not go into dysfunction and they can process them normally. That's the distinction. So it gives us something to look at here, because we can measure this. But the theory that I've had on this since my 2022 long COVID article is that this is the waste from syncytia bursting. So syncytia are these multinucleic cells where they literally melt into each other. So there's a bunch of nucleuses inside their cell. And we even got a thing about there was something recently that came out that they were saying was like proof that is similar to the extracellular thing. They're sending out vesicles or something like that, EVs, I think they're called. And that's an initial part of the syncytia formation process, which then the microtubes come from there. It's kind of like setting your landing coordinates for the nanotubes that we see. And we can visually see. We have pictures of this stuff with electron microscopes, like actually doing it. So it's not like this is a mystery. And then we have really great video from the Bat Brain thing with the Canon contest, which is just amazing. We got that information from a Canon contest of all things, photography, where it was showing how syncytia formations function. And a lot of people look at that stuff and they don't really know what they're looking at, so it's hard to understand. But we're seeing this process happen in this petri dish, where they grow into this cluster, releasing all their cytokines and organic compounds, and then eventually those cells burst. That is DNA. And that combines with these extra NETs with all the different materials. So all the materials that made them stick together before as syncytia are broken down into parts and making them stick together again with the added spike 1 So it's the waste from syncytia formation that is not being properly metabolized because your DNA system has gone into dysfunction. And so we want to treat your DNA system and get it functional again, which I don't know how to do yet. I'm not a doctor, but this is what we need to figure out. And so specifically, in this AI breakdown, but it's from PubMed where their source is. So it says low DNase activity is associated with autoimmunity, particularly systemic lupus, or they call it SLE, or the erythematosus. And then they have increasing DNase activity using exogenous administration is a major therapeutic goal to manage inflammatory diseases by reducing the buildup of DNA from necrotic and apoptotic cells, which sounds a lot like what I'm saying. So this is sort of all in the vein of, this is another example. The microclots in itself are not the problem exactly. They're a symptom of your body going into dysfunction and not being able to clear these loose bits of DNA from syncytia bursting and then building back up. And so if your DNA system goes into dysfunction, you can't do that. Now you have a problem. Now you have microclots. Now you have all these other symptoms that are not what you think. And now you're into, is it microclots from a single infection, or is it microclots from continuous persistence? Because this is also, you have two groupings of people for long COVID in every symptom set. So every symptom set that you can get together, every example, there's two different versions of it, where one is somebody who was set into dysfunction by the initial infection, and we might be able to figure out how to get them to respond better to treatment because they restart whatever disrupted feedback loop or cycle or whatever the problem is. We have a lot of things for different things to talk about, the GABA feedback loop and the AMPA feedback loop, which are all part of the same thing. But that's related to like how brain fog works and creating ion channels in your brain. And we're really learning about how all this stuff works because it's the cytokines from our immune system that makes these things go dysfunctional. And there's so much cytokines that it makes anything go dysfunctional, and it's just very random with where you get hit and then trying to figure out. And so I feel like people who are just having dysfunction from the initial infection are more likely to respond to treatment better, while the people who are suffering from persistence are more likely to have a slight benefit from the treatment and then it go back into the disease again once the treatment stops, which we see a lot. We see that a lot of the treatments, a number of them are starting to be things that specifically offset cytokines, because cytokines, like in like rheumatoid arthritis, for example, the drugs that help people, like it's called anakinra, sounds like the guy from Star Wars, anakinra, it just suppresses cytokines. The cytokines make your joints hurt. Specific ones make your joints hurt. That's literally what's the thing is here. So like when we talk about with COVID, we see some of these symptoms, and then you can check people's interleukins and other cytokines or whatever. I always feel like there's more. Like I always feel like when you talk about the immune system, like I always say cytokines and other organic compounds, or I say like something, because there's always more. Like whatever you say, there wasn't all of it. I don't even think you can try to say all of it. It's so big. But the general concept is what matters, because you're talking about how do we offset or affect these things, and how do we do that in different ways so that you can help people both who are experiencing persistence and people who are experiencing just the initial cytokine flush from the infection itself. And then you're into trying to narrow down, which CNS treatment is the right, because even when we're talking about ME/CFS, there are many roads to this level of dysfunction. That's the problem with it. There's a lot of ways there. And you do find, I feel like we see more and more, like the one consistent factor that I see when people talk to me personally is something syncytial. So it's like herpes, COVID, HIV. We don't consider, by the way, this is really screwed up and so typical of Western medicine, but we don't consider the ME/CFS from HIV to be ME/CFS, even though it looks exactly the same and it's all the same. They just consider it part of symptomatic HIV, or AIDS, I guess, at that point. So if you look up ME/CFS for HIV, it's like, yeah, it kind of does, but it's sort of not. But it's the same symptom set. It's the same effect. We just don't have it. We stop it with antiviral drugs because you fight the persistence that's causing the syncytial formation. So this is back also to, I feel like, really important to say, we talk about long COVID and why I'm so uptight about this is because if this is all correct, which it seems like it is, then you're looking at all these syncytial formations starting at ACE2. So COVID can drive anything into dysfunction by damaging cell sets in any part of your body. And so if you are experiencing persistence, it's degenerative. And you could be degenerating from long COVID and have no symptoms. So like you could be at risk of death and have no idea. And then we see all these young people dying of the exact deaths we were saying were going to happen. So I feel like there's really like an overlap here where I feel like the big thing to learn from this is that even when we talk about comparing like diseases and all stuff, the big thing is that we need to take long COVID with more seriousness and deal with it. We've already had so many people die, and we need to really take this like degenerativeness much more seriously. And I feel like all the infighting and the tapping around the bush and like, because we've been saying the same thing here since 2023. We have been doing this show since 2023. We've changed people and audiences and all sorts of stuff, formats a couple times, but we used to talk about this all the time. And Freeze, which was our third host, actually, well, he was like the fifth host, but the third main host, love Freeze. He would always talk about the NETs as a possible explanation for the idea that I had about waste, but now we have confirmation. So we've been technically saying it right since 2022. In fairness, I didn't understand it yet. We're all learning here together, folks. I did not understand it, in all honesty, when he explained it. And I don't think he did either. I think he was just kind of like, this is a possibility. And, we just didn't have... But now we do have that evidence. So I guess something good did come of Pretorius' work. But I don't feel like we need to sit on waiting another 3 or 4 years for them to come up with another study to say, hey, this is the mechanism here for what is going on. And it's not representative of all long COVID. It's representative of people who have microclots. A type of long COVID. So I feel like when we talk... So Terry, hang on a second, real fast, Jesse. Is Terry still here? Did she
No, she's not.
Oh, okay, well, that's okay. We told her she could leave when we started late. She's in Florida. So it's like hell there, literally. But I mean, we're looking at this. This is what Terry said in pre-call. I was going to give her a chance to say it again. Was the... like, there's never going to be a universal treatment for long COVID that helps all people. There's never going to be a universal test, unless it's to find your variant of concern. I could see there being like a biopsy related type style tests or scanners that are universal, but that's more like measurement than actual treatment. And so when you actually go to treat somebody who has long COVID, you have to figure out what has gone dysfunctional in their body and what is the best way to restart that feedback loop. And I'll tell you right now, modern medicine does not want you to have like a treatment that actually like fixes your system. They don't want you to have like this idea of you're built on feedback loops and maybe we could restart it if we like are creative enough in our understanding of the disease and cross-referencing that data to all the different treatments and how it affects things that are not COVID related. But with that the difference between COVID and the non-COVID one is the extra level of need to solve the problem faster because there's such a risk of degeneration and long-term harm and death. We have not figured out. I'm not a necromancer. We can't reverse death. I don't even have a rich parent to be like, or famous parent to be a necro baby. Necro babies.
I'm sure Palantir has some kind of solution.
Oh! Yeah, but whatever their solution is, we just have to accept it in the shadows.
Yes.
Just
I'd be very grateful.
Let them do it. And then don't try to help people or do good things, because that apparently gets in the way. It was so weird to read that one thing, because it was like, I always say the exact thing that they were saying, but in reverse, and how it's frustrating. And he's like, these people are going to be so frustrated. And you're like, shut up. It's kind of true, but you still do it anyways, you jerk.
I remember what I was going to say before. So what you were talking about, this was all discovered with some sort of scan. Is that how that all started?
There's so we've had those where they do they paint it with fluorescence so they can see and it looks green. Mm-hmm. The microclots. That's as close as we could get to them. Mm-hmm. So they got a machine that allowed them to look at it even smaller. And they were able to create a diagram of what the thing is actually made out of, which it's made out of all the things we thought it was made out of. But I
Right.
guess with that confirmation, it does make it a lot easier to like move forward with confidence. So, I get frustrated by her group because they're very slow, and and they raised a lot of money. Well, I mean, I remember how much it was. It felt like a lot at the time, and they kind of are snobs. Like they kind of like have a snobby attitude. When you try to talk to them, like whatever. So I don't know. I kind of a bad, not Pretori specifically, but the some of the other people involved. I never really engaged with her. I just feel like the team moves too slowly and they don't take it seriously enough. That's it. I don't think they, and I feel like people get mad at me for like getting mad at them, but I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to get them to take it more serious to protect you. And they're like, but they're gonna help us, yeah, but they can help you faster. I think somehow that gets lost in my messaging. I think that I don't make that clear that I'm not just being a prick to them because like they're
You want
nice
things to be
people and
fun.
I'm bad people. I'm being a prick to them because they're being bad people to good people. And I'm just kind of a prick. So I do want to say a couple things real fast because we do need to wrap the show up. We've been running really long. My kids are being really good right now. But I feel like COVID data right now is at like an all-time low. But it's still dangerously high. So I feel like now more than ever is a really good time to like, now's not the time to let our guard down about COVID. Especially also, I feel like as a COVID conscious person, you're adding COVID consciousness to progressivism, but I feel like COVID consciousness could just as easily be airborne consciousness. But I feel like they're their own things, but it's just like cleaning our air should be just as important as cleaning our water. Like we had all this water. I remember like we sent everyone to Standing Rock in 2016 to do that fight over which ultimately I believe that thing was removed. Ultimately, the years later, I got to go back, but I think the Standing Rock thing was, and that Standing Rock stuff was really complicated. The politics was really complicated. Actually, I've never talked about this, but we showed up at Standing Rock at the end of our tour in 2016, and my friend who had been at Standing Rock and already had a press pass, so we showed up like 3 days after everyone had gotten shot they tried to take an island or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, and the police and the feds shot them with rubber bullets. It was all really violent and crazy. We showed up right when all the press showed up, and so there was this lineup of people to get press passes, and no one could get one. And we got a grandfathered press pass from my friend, who was a Bernie delegate, and we were able to go around and film all over. And then the politics of Standing Rock at that point was so complicated that we never released the video because there was basically an elder group that was soaking up all the money, which I don't know, that's their business, but if you donated, it was hard to tell who to donate for, and it was becoming this huge clusterfuck, and it was there were enough people there, and it was hard to manage all those people, and so it was just what do you even do? You know what I mean? And winter was coming, which hit pretty hard. So there was a lot of confusion, but going to Standing Rock and seeing all that stuff, seeing people fight for clean water, that was really powerful to me. I took a beautiful picture of the Standing Rock things on my Instagram. That's not a trick to go to my Instagram. It's just, I love the photo. I took it too, because at the time, I can't believe I'm telling this story. We're supposed to be ending the show. I took this picture because my phone at the time on this trip had no battery. It was constantly dying on me, and chargers weren't a thing yet, or I don't know, I never bought one. Maybe they were, I just never thought to do that. My phone would die on me, so when I took this picture, and my phone instantly died, so I didn't know if I got the photo or not, and so I did, and it's one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. So
It's like old school pictures where you didn't know
yeah,
you had the picture until you got it developed.
It was exactly like that, which I started out black and white film, and then never developing it as every black and white photographer does.
You're just hoping it turned out.
Yeah, exactly. It's on the roll still, but the stuff is at an all-time low. I feel like there's a lot of confusion if it's BA.3.2 or did we just have a surge of data. There's the big huge surge in California, and at the same time the federal government is no longer releasing wastewater data weekly anymore. They're releasing it monthly. I think it's just the variant types, not the actual wastewater data, but we need those variant types. There's only going to be one more release between now and VRPAC, which is
Terrible.
horrible plan, which I don't really think studying them all the time has really made a big difference. Just we're about to choose the next one. It'd be a good idea to know what it's doing, so we're going to be really guessing in the wind. and then see what the data actually says at the meeting. It's going to be tough. But I feel like now's not a good time. We really should be putting like airborne. The point I was making about Standing Rock was like all these people fighting for clean water. We should be having the same fight for clean air. You know, and I don't think it's as easy of a fight. I think it's a more complicated fight. But like, I still feel that like cleaning air is the clean water fight of our generation. Even though it turns out the clean water fight is still the fight of our generation, but one thing at a time. So they're trying to roll that back as best they can. So yeah, so you know, I feel like it would be really great to see that, and I feel like we're gonna be talking about the WHO is it called Tag Kovac? Am I saying that right? It's 3 9-letter word or 3 combinations of 3 letters.
Yeah, that's correct.
Tag Kovac. So they have their Tag Kovac meeting where they're going to be deciding their variant selection, and I'm definitely going to be trying to talk to the WHO about trying to push their meeting up next year. We don't have enough time to move the meeting up this year. It's going to happen when it happens. But I feel like we need to start pushing on the WHO to have the meeting a little earlier because the data doesn't support them having the meeting the way they're having it. They should be having them a little more, little less seasonally. The flu is more seasonal than COVID. COVID's more because COVID is like, it seems like it doesn't have an advantage infection-wise, so we do get co-infections of COVID, of course, but it seems like other viruses are more dominant, so we see them instead of the COVID, and then when those things go down and have less of an advantage, then COVID infects everybody. So now instead of having like a winter season with disease and then a long period of time without much of it, even though it's always present just in low volumes, now we have COVID to surge during the summer months, and we really should be aiming to protect people against that. And you know, we're gonna have a good idea after the summer surge what variant we're going to be facing next, and then it'll be too late to change it. So that's perfect. I love that. I love that for us. It's a good plan. So I feel like we need to change our timetable around that matches the actual data points that happen. So that's the thing, and you know, it's about the school year. So we need to get out of here because I have comments from people trying to tie them into a self-known knot about why a particular candidate in San Francisco is not a scammer and that what they did wasn't actually a scam. And I'm like, I was there. I got the emails. I had to explain to people, like, we figured out it was a scam. People are like, it's not a scam. He was clearly doing it for the right. No, man, you weren't there. It was a scam. It's like, but he's so good. It's like I feel like supporting, getting APAC money, supporting abolishing ICE, all these things are secondary to whether or not they're an honest person. If they're not an honest person, it doesn't matter what they say or do. Well, actually, what they do still matters. What they say. Because when you look at what they do, they're not an honest person. So, like, you can't get behind a candidate who's not honest and expect everyone to be like, oh, this is a good idea. No, he's not an honest person. He absolutely should not be allowed into Congress under any circumstance. And like, oh, but Weiner should be. I'm not responsible for the establishment. I'm responsible for the progressive movement, which I'm not even really responsible for. That's just me being a narcissist. Anyways. No, but like when you talk about like the left, you know, we're responsible for the people on the left. We're not responsible for the people not on the left. Same thing as like why do progressives always go after Democrats? Because that's the people we have the problem with, who won't let us progress, who keep screwing up elections because they suppress election outcomes. And they keep saying, no, it's the progressive left who's not liking all of our candidates. It's like, no, the voters don't work like that. If you want the voters, you got to do the candidates the way we're telling you because we're the majority now. And if we only flex that power in party leadership, it will be representative, but people are constantly convinced that that's not true and that we're on the bottom and we should give up because apparently people love losing. I should go before I say something. I'll say something else at this point, hour and a half later. So, Jesse, thank you so much for being here, as usual. I would thank Terry and everybody else also. It has been a long April.
Yeah.
It's been a long April. And I assume it's going to be a long couple of months. And just so you know, we're in 25th Amendment territory for Trump. 100% 25th Amendment.
Yeah.
Totally. He's all over the place.
Erratic.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll, like, kick the bucket on us because the White House will keep him alive for, like, they'll prop him up with, like, a rope and a string, like, you know what I mean? But the point is I feel like if they do decide to do that sort of stuff, it won't happen until after he's halfway through his term. So we've talked about this on the show, I usually mix it up, but if they kick him out now and invoke the 25th and J.D. Vance takes over, this counts as a term for J.D. Vance. if they wait until the primaries are over and his term is in the third year, then it does not count against J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance could still run for 2 terms, which, I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, I think they.
How
I mean,
about
they
that,
went
but-
along with him with his war of aggression, and with Israel and against Iran. But like, I think they actually see now that we better get the hell out of it. 'Cause
Well,
this
we're just
could-
losing military. Like, we're at risk of like losing our whole military. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, we could lose like huge chunks of our military overnight and be super vulnerable for
and
like
the world economy is
25 years.
like that original oil is just getting to its destinations now that has left when the straits were first closed. So we haven't really seen the shock yet, in those products. So we could start seeing it soon. But also this has the potential to get a lot worse if he doesn't make a deal. And actually an actual agreement, not even just a deal, like an agreement that is there's a treaty behind.
Did you hear the story about the analysts they sent down to actually examine how many boats were going through the Strait of Hormuz? And
No.
they said it's a crazy story. I don't have time. Sorry, bonkers story. I don't have time to get into it right now too much. Basically, they sent this guy down, analyst number 3 or something, to like go to the actual Strait of Hormuz, and he had to like lie about everything and get in there, and he's actually in it on like an unlicensed boat, and they had said that there are twice as many ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz as the analysts think, because the analyst is using transponder data, and ships are turning off their transponders or changing their transponder to China in order to get through it. So we're not going to see
Speculation.
everything is speculation. Yeah, we don't know at all. Then so this is like the big takeaway is like we don't know at all what's happening. It seems like it could be a lot worse or a lot better. But at the end of the day, like, it's weakening American power, which, I mean, maybe that's what some people want. I don't think that's a totally bad thing. But we do have enemies that would weaken us further, and that will start affecting things in ways that we won't be able to recover. And, you can say whatever you want about how American Western power is corrupt, and, like, would agree with you every day of the week. But we're, like, really changing battle lines here, like, really significant. Like, trade wars don't go away.
Everything could shift from this event, and
Yeah.
he did this, and he's making it a lot worse by the way that he's acting.
Yeah.
So will his party turn against him? I still feel like we almost need him to be gone to make an actual agreement about.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. Which is why I think, like, how much worse can this get between now and the beginning of his third year? But when they would willingly use that, like, how bad would it have to get before they sacrifice a whole term of J.D. Vance, who, I mean, he's not even going to win one election, so I don't know what their plan is there. Guy has the personality of a couch.
If you know the reference, that's even
Yeah,
funnier.
it's because Trump sits on him. Sorry. My wife says I have to stop being insulting to couches.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
didn't deserve that.
They didn't deserve that. She's got a couch.
But
all right.
yeah, I know you wanted to go. So
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. It's been a good show. We talked about a lot of things. Guys, the biggest thing, if you're listening to us and you made it all the way here, just give the show a like. Give the show. I think people listen and they're like, oh, it's finally over. Just go back and just give it a click, little clickety click, and maybe a share. The shares are good. People like those. I've been told that, like, that's what everyone else who does the show does. Like, I'm supposed to be, like, promoting, fundraising, and pretty much just according to everyone else is promoting and fundraising. So I had no idea. Apparently I missed the entire point. I thought it was just like sharing fun facts. You know what it is? I'm finally understanding the lack of joy from helping people. I feel like I'm finally learning how disappointed I am, just like Palantir warned. He truly is an agent of change. Yeah, if you want Terminators, I was gonna say the race to have Terminators and like automated AI warrior bots is the new race for an atom bomb. And I was joking about that when because we read through it and I got to about 8 and I was making a joke, and then like number 11 was literally referred to the race for the atom bomb. I was like, oh my god.
yeah,
I wish
if AI could be bad enough.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, all right, everybody. Hang in there. We will be back later this week on Thursday, the 23rd. I'm sure everything will have changed. Everything will have changed. That seems to be the way of things. Everything will be different by then, so you get to tune in for a new show on Thursday. All right, everyone, have a good night. Thank you so much for being here. Give us a share and a like. But you can't join our Discord because we're at 1,337 members right now. That's